James Harden made his debut for the Cleveland Cavaliers over the weekend. 23 points and 8 assists in a come-from-behind win over the Sacramento Kings. Jason, we'll start with you on this one, but what was your biggest takeaway from James Harden's debut as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers?
He can play basketball. He's pretty good. And,
Still?
Yeah. And we talked about it last week. It may look a little clunky at times as him and Donovan sort of figure it out, and I think we saw that a little bit. But I said last week, both of these guys are motivated to figure it out, and that's 3/4 of the battle. Is when they want to make this work, they will make it work. I think James very much will find his way early on here to just sort of fit in where he can. Made a couple big threes late. I don't think he's trying to dominate anything. At this point, I think he's just trying to figure out how these guys play and see what he can do. So, listen, to struggle against a bad team like that, you could say, oh, wait a minute. No, they'll be fine. This team's going to be fine. They'll figure it out. Denver tonight, right, and then home again on Wednesday, coming off this road trip. There you go. They got one game at home before the All-Star break. I thought James looked fine. I think this whole thing will be fine, and we talked about it last week, Mike, what he's going to do for Jarrett Allen, and I think you saw that right away. Jarrett had a couple good games here recently prior to James' arrival, but I just think I've been hard on Jarrett at times, but I think James Harden will be the best thing that's happened to Jarrett's career in quite a long time.
Jarrett Allen, my man, listen, that trade deadline might have been scary for you, my bro. That trade deadline might have been a little spooky for you, but let me tell you something, though. What I loved about watching James Harden play is James Harden is one of those dudes who, when you playing against him, I can't stand this game. Like, I just don't like how he gets to the rim. I just don't like how it looked like he's nonchalant and gets to his spots, and he'd be stepping back on people, and he had the nerve to be hitting those. But when he's playing for you, it's a whole new situation. It might be a whole new world, like we're talking about Aladdin. You know what's crazy is James Harden, the way he's able to pass the ball, like his pocket pass game is ridiculous because it doesn't look like these are crazy over-the-top high degree of passes. But he gets the ball to bigs where you don't got to do much at all. All you got to do is get the ball and finish. And I think what you're seeing right now is the fact that the way Jarrett Allen is playing, this is the energy Jarrett Allen is playing with because he knows that all I got to do is roll. Like, all I got to do is roll and I'm going to eat. And James Harden knows, like that pass he just threw right there, that pass was a little off key. But Jarrett Allen showed good hands in being able to get that basketball and able to finish. So that shows him trust level. Like, I could pass it to this guy in a bunch. So the fact that I love the trade, I love the fact that they got bigger. Now, James Harden is about 6'5". I think Brad talked about the level of size that he has. Nobody's going to say he's some kind of crazy defender. But they got Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, and those guys seem to have kicked up the defensive intensity. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just see more on the ball pressure. I see more guys doing certain things, and I like that energy. But for me, where he stood out the most was at the end of the game. There was times where the Cavs were down, and listen, say what you want. I mean, he's an elite scorer. He's 9th all-time scorer. He's hit the second most threes of all time. I mean, he gets to the free throw line and shoot 90%. But the great thing about it was, at that point in time, they was down, I think, 6 or 7, and they erased they went on an 8-row run in the fourth quarter like this. He hit 2 threes. He was 5 of 8 from 3. And you start to see the level of, we got another ball player. We got somebody else that can roll with Donovan Mitchell. And it's a work in progress, but I like that energy. I like the fact that now you can't just be running around and double and triple teaming Donovan Mitchell. And I think Donovan Mitchell embraces that because he sees that, the moment ain't too big for James Harden. I like the fit.
I think that we got another dog, a closer in the clutch.
Whoa.
No? I'll tell you why. First of all, when you look at fourth quarter scoring, I think, does Donovan still lead the NBA in fourth quarter scoring?
I can tell you in 1 second.
I know he's like leading in second half scoring, right?
I think he leads in fourth quarter scoring.
He gets it done.
And the reason is because they didn't have that guy. They didn't have that other guy. And I know it was the Kings, and I know it was a team they should have just run right off the court in the first half. They didn't do that. But in the second half, when the game was in the balance, he took 2 big threes, nailed them both.
Yeah.
And that's why I know his reputation precedes himself. And he's been known as a guy who, if you put a bunch of adjectives in to describe him, quit is going to be one of them. He's got some quit. We've seen it.
Yeah.
But he's also a guy who I think realizes his sand in the top of the hourglass is running out. And this might be a legacy play for James Harden. This might be the opportunity that he has to tell all of the people that gave up on him, that call him a quitter, that talk about his chase for a ring, and him always leading to the devolution of that. This might be his last opportunity to prove those folks wrong. And we're really going to find out what's inside of James Harden the rest of this season going forward, because he's under that spotlight. And I like the fact that they got bigger. We've always said this backcourt, you can't win with this backcourt. It's too small. I don't feel the backcourt's too small anymore.
Oh, no.
I don't. And Harden, I think he plays bigger than he is, too. There were some moments during the game where it was kind of out of body for me, because I'm like, wow, those are the iconic James Harden moves, like the dribble, step back hit.
The one that we always getting hit with.
The ones that we've been screaming about.
Dang.
And the ones that make you say, oh, that's the special
That's
part
the
of him.
MVP. That's
That's the
all-time
MVP.
top 75 player in the history of this league.
And I think, Mike, he still has it. He
having a great
penetrates
season.
and dishes. He's had it. Where is the productivity gone? I mean, it hasn't dipped. And that's amazing, because at 36 years old, you typically see a decline far before 36. But I expect to see it at 35 for sure, and he still has it.
He's never been a guy whose game was predicated on crazy athleticism.
Right.
Well, no.
So for that
But
reason,
he overachieves with what he has.
Oh yeah, but he's just so fluid in how he moves.
Yeah.
But he's not LeBron, where he's going to jump out of the gym, So I think that's part of the reason why he's been able to maintain to this late in his career. He's been to the finals one time.
I know.
Once.
Which is an indictment on his career.
Very early, too.
I just looked up to make sure it was his 3rd year in the league with OKC when he was coming off the bench.
He should have made it twice.
With two really good players.
Yeah.
Alongside
he should have
him.
been back once again. They had that one year in 2018 in Houston where they were up in Game 6.
Yeah,
They were
you're
up
right.
in Game 5 when Chris Paul pulled his hamstring.
Yeah. Yep.
And they had and Harden's part of it. He was bad in Game 6 and horrific in Game 7 when the Rockets missed 27 straight threes in that game and lost to Golden State. Wow. But they should have made the finals that year.
Do you agree, Mike, that this is a legacy play for him? He's on a team that's loaded.
He's got to win a championship. And
yeah.
The beautiful part of Harden, and this goes to that
has a
list.
chance.
Jason, I'm curious what you think of this. I was talking to somebody, and he said Harden has 3 moves. Like, as for as big of a bag as those, and beautiful and iconic as those 3 moves are, he really has 3 moves, and he's waiting to see what the defender does. And whichever way the defender reacts to his first, he just goes against it.
Yeah.
And if you take a step with your left foot, he's attacking your right
But
foot.
those moves are elite.
They're unstoppable. He's made an entire career out of being a top 75 player off of essentially a 3-move
It's like a pitcher,
package.
Mike.
Yeah.
I was just thinking Greg Maddux.
Right.
You can have 5 pitches, and they're all B- pitches. That's cool.
James has 3 A+ moves.
Give me 3 A+ pitches,
Yeah.
and you've got a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
And I think that's what James Harden is. To your point, Mike, if it was just one Hall of Fame move, then everybody would be able to shut him down. But he's good at seeing what the defender is going to do, and then he's like, oh, okay, he's going to take this away. That's okay. I'll go here.
You weren't here last week when I mentioned this, and you could even see it a little bit in the debut. But James Harden, as an offensive creator, does not want movement. He wants everyone standing still because he wants to know exactly where the defender is because he's so good at reading it. And he's going to make the right decision 98 out of 100 times where he's attacking a guy one-on-one or playing off the pick and roll. And you saw, to G's point, the chemistry with Jared Allen already, and to Jason's earlier point, like, we're going to do this topic later in the week. I want to get more than one game. But we're going to have to reevaluate what Jared Allen's ceiling is playing alongside a facilitator.
Maybe. Did he miss a shot? At one point, wasn't he like 11 for
11? He was 10 for 11.
He made his first 10. He was 10
That's
for 10.
insane.
And it wasn't looking like he was going to stop. Like, it was almost like he was playing with confidence, like, oh, no, I'm definitely one of those guys. I'm definitely a contributor. And the crazy part about it is now, I always, thought with the Cavs, like, you watch the old ISO stuff, right? And you go back and you watch LeBron and Kyrie and how masterful they were doing ISO basketball, right? And then kind of we went to the movement era, and Kenny wanted to move the ball a lot last year. But the thing about ISO ball is when your first option ain't there or your second option ain't there off some reads, what a luxury to have if you could throw the ball to Donovan Mitchell or Harden at the end of a shot clock and make something happen.
Well, I want to watch more of James play, but I remember because I don't know if this is an apt comparison or not. I need to see more of him. But when LeBron
Tonight will be good.
Yeah. And just the next few games. But LeBron, I'm talking to people who played when LeBron was here, who played with him. He may hold the ball for 20 seconds, and he's going to fire it to you with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and you better make that shot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because you don't have time to make a pass at that point.
But and Mike Miller used to say, like, LeBron's going to make the best basketball play, and you better finish it. It's up to you. It's up to you. And some guys don't like playing that way. Like, some guys really struggle with that, of being catch and shoot guys, or with being a guy's going to dribble, pound, and then at the last second kick it to you. He's going to drive, penetrate, kick, and you better make that shot. So I'm just curious to see if how similar James' style is to the second version of LeBron, especially like 17, 18 particularly, when it was just a lot of, he may sit there and pound it for 18 seconds, 19 seconds, and then kick.
That was that sound like good. That sound like me in my old age.
and then I'm going to stop talking and then make the shot.
I'm so done. Mike, when does Mobley come back?
They said the first time, not this current calf injury, the last time, it was a 2 to 4 week injury.
Yeah.
He was back like 10 days later.
So are we thinking after the All-Star break? Probably, right?
There's 2 games left before the All-Star break.
Yeah, why would you rush him back? Give him that extra week.
I would assume it's post All-Star break.
I hope it is. And then you've got to figure out also, like, okay, so how does that puzzle fit together?
Yeah.
Because that'll be a different lineup, clearly. I know it's one game. And I saw a lot of the reaction on the trade. They're like, you guys are forgetting who Harden is. You're just focusing on the upside and not the baggage. And I agree with that. That's a caveat. You've got to be careful because, a Tiger doesn't change his stripes at 36. He is who he is. He can be disruptive. You don't know when he's going to pull the pin in the locker room. That's all stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
But I also know that typically when a guy is traded, particularly late in his career, this is a clean slate. He knows what the narrative is on him. He knows. And I do think that he's a guy that cares about legacy. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's, like Mike said, a top 75 player in the league all time. But you better validate that with a ring. And I think he's looking at this as, wow, here's my life raft. I've got a chance to do it this year with this group.
And to the point about the attitude, behavior, and all that, I mentioned this last week, but he got a great report out of L.A. I was talking to some people at the Clippers who said, like, he was a joy to have around here.
Wow.
It was like everything that you heard, none of that surfaced. Now, to that I would say, well, they got out at the right time. Because everything with him comes with an expiration date. And you just have to get out at the right time.
Right.
And they did. The Clippers did. So we'll see how it goes in Cleveland over the next however long.
They don't want to now. From what I'm hearing, it seems like they didn't want to guarantee him no more money. Like he had $13 million.
They didn't want to guarantee his deal for next year. So he found someone who would.
So now it puts you in a situation where I guess you got the ticking clock, right? So you got him and Donovan Mitchell, right? So how does this move? Is this a thing where they like, oh, we gotta keep Harden, or what's their long-term outlook on Harden?
I mean, the long-term outlook is keep Donovan happy and get Donovan to sign another deal. That's the long-term outlook. They can do that this summer. They can sign another deal. Donovan can sign another extension this summer, up to 4 years, and I think it's $275. I think
for the max.
Yeah. So that's goal one. Is they want Donovan to sign another max this summer, and then step two of that is figure it out with James. whether that's 1 year, 2 years, whatever. Redo his deal. He knows he's getting paid next year. And it's the way that his contract, they can't sign him to an extension. It's a new deal. And it's something that they can talk about this summer.
So theoretically, I think James at this point, James is never, he's like Carmelo Anthony. They have never given back no money. They're not planning on giving back no money.
No,
that's not true. Harden has.
Oh,
on multiple occasions.
He was mad with the Sixers because they said they was going.
Oh, the Daryl Morey thing. Yeah.
You're right.
But James is looking to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
I'll say this real quick, Jason. Kobe Altman on the post-trade deadline press conference emphasized two things abundantly clear. Because Harden had the player option for next year, the de facto no trade clause.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He could have shut down any trade if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He accepted the deal to Cleveland, and Kobe mentioned the fact that, when they came to Cleveland, LA approached Cleveland about this. It was because Harden identified Cleveland as an opportunity where he thought he could fit in, win a championship. And two, they can't start renegotiating contracts till after the finals. So it's not like we're going to see any kind of extension between now and June.
Right.
They made it seem, and Kobe made it seem abundantly clear that both sides were eager to knock out some sort of 2-year deal.
But
I'm going to guess about between 70 and 80 million if I had to guess.
I think the elephant in the room is the prospect that LeBron comes here next year, which seems like it's more and more likely as time goes on.
Yeah.
Let's just dream for a second. What would that look like? A big three of Harden, LeBron. I know it's geriatric sounding, but Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if you keep Evan Mobley in that mix.
I think Evan is here.
I mean, if that's not a championship or bust team, I haven't seen one.
Yeah, I do think it's possible. I think if LeBron plays next year, I believe, just personally, just my opinion, I believe he's probably back here. If this is where he's going to be.
I think so too, and I would even lean towards he is going to play because he's made some comments about not doing the grand tour. LeBron's a grand tour kind of guy.
You would think.
Yeah.
He's not going out without the grand tour.
There are people around him who think they could see him walking away, but I tend to think he's going to play next year,
especially when the team would be so set up to win. I mean, everybody probably dreams of, but very few. I think John Elway got to do it. Very few ride out on that white horse holding the trophy. He could do that, and if that happened, not that it's Jordan's 6-0 in the finals, but he would finish 5-6 in the finals.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's so tempting. How could he not do it?
The storybook ending. Some guys seem to want it, and some guys don't seem to care about it. Right? Some guys Michael ended his career with the Wizards,
right?
Or Jerry Rice in a Seahawks jersey, or whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I think Michael's ego was such that he actually thought that he could
still win.
He could carry the Wizards, and that would be his exclamation point to an incredible career.
But LeBron feels like if you remember back the night when he came back and he goes to the University of Akron Stadium and he does a lap around the whole stadium and he stands on the stage and says, "I'm back, I love you," and the fireworks going up. That's him. He loves that type of stuff.
He's a showman.
And what better? That's a great word. And what better way than to cap a magnificent, brilliant career than to come home and try and win a championship?
I'm good.
And I think all three of them have. See, I believe in basketball. You got to have the same pressure points or some sort of. They got to have something that is driving them. And each individual, if the Cavs don't win this year, Donovan Mitchell, he hasn't won. James Harden has not won. And LeBron James is coming home trying to put a little cherry on his legacy. Yeah. I mean, if you ain't got no reason enough to play hard for that, they'll all play hard.
Now, there are obstacles because again, just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's taking the league minimum to come back here.
I don't think he would either.
So you at least have to get to the mid-level.
Yeah.
And you got to have to figure that out. So there are obstacles to overcome.
That's a lot easier to do that than it is to, give him what he would want.
Yeah.
At the top end.
I don't think it's realistic for him to come in and demand $40 million. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's not the player that he. I love LeBron. He's not the player that.
And
he
I think
was.
he knows that too.
He does. Yeah.
I mean,
But boy, what a way to end a career.
He done
And
made $1 billion.
I think would that undo, because there's still some animosity with a large number of fans that he left us twice. Would coming home and winning a second one, would that undo all of that?
I don't think you can pay. And I think those people are weirdos, and you can't pay any attention to them.
You know, I know they're weirdos, but I'm just saying there is a faction of folks who, when you bring his name up, they still say, I don't want him back.
I mean, I don't know what you want. I mean, he came back and won a championship.
Yeah.
So what if
Well,
that's
if he did
not
it
making
twice,
good,
I think they would have. They would
Had
be
he
so
le-
foolish to open their mouth with hate again.
had he left without winning, okay, you can hate him.
Yeah.
He won a freaking title.
he delivered. He
for
delivered.
them 4 years here, he saved. Do you remember we had Christmas Day games?
Yeah. Oh,
We-
I was there. I
talking-
remember.
Like that was the Warriors versus the Cavs was the greatest rivalry moving at that time. And we was in the middle of the epicenter. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? This is what we supposed to want.
Well, and not only that, he because of
3-1?
the timing of it, Cleveland was in a bit of a spiral, downtown Cleveland, and it was the LeBronomy. You know, his economic impact on Fourth and downtown in the area, and you know we forget because it's not like that anymore. And there are a lot of businesses on Fourth that have shuttered. And you know when he is here, the fact of the matter is, every regular season game, I don't care if it's February 3rd, I don't care if it's April 11th, I don't care if it's October 31st. It is an event, and people, even if they can't get a ticket to the game, they want to be around that energy.
I remember when he announced he was coming back. Later on, I went to Harry Buffalo, right there down the street from the arena, and the manager I was talking to said this place filled up within an hour of the announcement. Like it was like Cleveland had just won the finals. People
crazy.
in the Harry Buffalo
Middle of the day.
Middle of the day.
And think about that.
And they sold out their season tickets
Right
in
away.
one day.
Yeah, right away.
If he does that again, it'll be the same thing.
It will.
He will take up all the oxygen in the entire summer. Shout out to Guardians. Guardians, spend $5. You do something.
Spend $10.
Go spend $10, dog, because it's gonna be ugly.
But it is like, and I don't want to turn this like this team this year as constructed can win a championship.
Yes.
So I don't
Yeah.
want to talk
Yes.
every day about LeBron.
That-
and
No,
the
you're
next
right, you're
year,
right.
because it does a disservice to this team.
Right.
I just
This
wanted to
team
bring
has
it up because
constituted.
It's
like
worth
if I'm
having-
James Harden and I know LeBron and I've had conversations with LeBron, maybe in a private moment he has said you need to go to Cleveland. I don't know. But the fact that he is here tells me that it is a legacy play and that he might be thinking that LeBron is coming next year. And that may have weighed in to his decision to waive it to come to Cleveland.
Well, we're going to talk later whether or not the Cavs with Harden are the favorites in the East this year. We'll deal with the LeBron and the future stuff in the future. But let's talk Browns for a second, guys. Before we do that,